I like Chris Merry. I think he's a good player. I don't think he's going to go bomb past players and play box to box. You know, he wins his tackles. And I think on a 1 year deal, he can fill in when needed in left back. You know, he's a good squad player, and I thought that was fine. Again, the same thing. I like Regan Hendry, good player. You know, you watch him and he's confident enough to go and receive the ball in deep areas off the centre backs, and he wants the ball. He doesn't hide. He shows for the ball. But in my opinion, we need a needle mover in that central midfield. Regan Hendry's not going to move the needle. He ticks it over. He's a good player. Don't get me wrong. And if we were in a position financially where we could sign him and add, great. But we're not. Now you look at the midfield options now. Walker's a sick note. Was before we signed him. You know, where I live, I'm lucky enough to, you know, be close to his previous club. And they all said, he's fine when he plays, but he never plays. Nothing's changed since he signed. I don't know why, again, Tranmere do this thing where we sign injury-prone players and then presume they're not going to be injury-prone when we sign them. Bizarre. So, you know, again, good player, but is he ever going to be fit? You can't rely on him. McAleer, I was actually really encouraged by that sign. I was really hopeful, and he showed glimpses in that first game against Stevenage, but clearly something went wrong. He didn't kick on, and I don't think he's done great when he's gone on loan, but, you know, it's a clean slate. Maybe he comes back in. O'Connor, again, similar to Merry and Hendry, in that it's a bit crab-like on that centre midfield. It's always square, and that's fine. I don't mind keeping the ball, but you do need a little bit of creativity in there. And then you've got Reece Hughes who can play in there, who's still learning the game as a young lad. So for me, I personally, now Merry signed, I wouldn't be going all out for Hendry. I know I saw on social media people begging him to come back, and, you know, he's a good player, but like you just said, Matt, why would we try and recreate the same midfield that's barely scored a goal? I personally, it's all about opinions, and I get it. I personally don't understand that. I wouldn't be too bothered if we didn't sign Hendry, unless, you know, players are shifted out. Now, I don't know what would have to happen first, but if you're looking at it as it stands now, Kieran Morris, depending on what formation Dawes plays, could come into the central areas. I know a lot of fans have been calling out for that for a while. I know a lot of fans don't really like Morris because they say he flatters to deceive and he doesn't get enough goals or assists, which could be a fair point. But I think I look deeper than that. I think he's a really talented player personally. And I think if you get him in the central areas, he could cause damage. And then you're looking at Hawks again to maybe, you know, for goals and assists. So that is a real problem area, I think, that central midfield. And I just think we need, I know we're not going to get somebody like him, but somebody in the mould of maybe a James Wallace who can go, you know, in his pomp, who can go box to box. Anthony Kay, who was always popping up with goals. We need that sort of threat in there, and we do really lack that. And to me, signing Hendry and then lining up first game of the season with a Hendry, Merry, maybe O'Connor or whoever it is midfield it's not going to. We need goals, don't we? We all know where the problem area was. Pylos has said it. Dawes said it. We need goals, and I'm not sure, you know, signing Hendry and with Merry already being there is going to solve that problem, to be honest.
Literally, I feel exactly the same. I like Merry, I like Hendry. I've got no problem with them as players. Hendry reminds me a bit like Jeff Hughes in that he's always willing for the ball. Doesn't matter who's on him, doesn't matter what position he's in. He wants the ball. He trusts himself to get out of trouble. Got a nice touch. But I don't remember, I mean, I might be wrong, but I don't remember seeing a defence split and pass from him. Something that really breaks the lines and has sliced the opposition open. Likewise with Merry, he did it away at Swindon. Lovely ball through for Hawks' goal, but didn't really do it enough other than that. So the fine players, you know, there's no problem with them as individuals. But if we didn't sign Merry and we didn't go for Hendry, I would have no problem with that, because you've got to ask the question, are we improving this squad? Is what you've got next season improvements on what you got last season? Because last season was underwhelming. Doesn't matter how positive I generally would be. It was an extremely underwhelming season. You have to improve on that squad. You can't just trust on Reece Hughes developing more to improve that midfield, or Reece McAleer. You can't trust them to suddenly become what we hoped they'd be for the midfield to get better. We need to bring someone in who's going to have that defence splitting ball in them, and maybe a goal or two in them as well, definitely. But for me, it's more that Ollie Banks sort of just appear somewhere on the pitch and open a team up, and the defence not know what hit them. You know, Banks used to do that all the time. He had deficiencies in his game, but he was able to open teams up, and we just don't seem to have that in midfield. Now, I don't know what outgoings to expect from the season. But if O'Connor was to move on, maybe that would then make space for a ball-playing midfielder. Obviously, Merry won't move on now, but O'Connor, this time last year, O'Connor was probably one of my favourite players. Fantastic defensive midfielder. Last season, got no idea what's happened to him. He just completely dipped. Looked like he couldn't control the ball. Don't know if his head has gone elsewhere. So maybe if he moved on, then that opens up space in midfield. But yeah, if we don't get Hendry in, I certainly won't be losing any sleep over it. We need to bring someone in who's going to improve that squad. And I don't think, I don't think that Hendry actually improves it a great deal. It just replicates what we've just had and just failed with.